Okay, so is the presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Right. So if you recollect, we had just started with servo motors, and I had said that DC servo motors is what we are going to do right now, and then go over to a scheme where a DC servo motor as well as potentiometers are used, namely the remote position control system. So if you recollect that in the last class, I had stated that for a servo motor, it is essential for um, the servo motor to be a low inertia as well as high torque device, and we had stopped discussing at that point because I think there was a query regarding how the shape of the servo motor was related to the inertia as well as the torque. So this is slide number 131, right? So over here you find that the torque is related to the moment of inertia by the relation T equal to J into alpha, where alpha is the acceleration and J is the moment of inertia. And the moment of inertia is also, we know that because the motor itself can be, the shape and size is such that it can be considered to be a solid cylinder almost actually. So it's going to be, the moment of inertia is going to be equal to half mr square, where r is the, capital R is the radius and capital M is the mass, right? So from this now you find that if we were to make the moment of inertia small enough, we would actually opt for making the radius small. So we would be opting to make the radius small, but at the same time the torque is basically related to this, that is half mr square into alpha, because this is also the moment of inertia. So now we do not want the torque to decrease, while we want the moment of inertia to decrease, we do not want the torque to decrease. So basically what we opt to do is the radius, we meaning the designers who design servo motors, they opt to decrease the radius, but at the same time they do not want to decrease the mass, because decreasing the mass is going to indirectly affect the torque produced. So basically what is done is that the radius is decreased, whereas the radius is decreased, whereas the length of the motor is increased, such that your total mass remains the same. Total mass would be what? Pi r square into L, that is the volume, into the density, that is say rho. So basically if that is the case, now if we were to keep the mass the same, we would have to increase the length, while because the radius has to be decreased for decreasing the moment of inertia. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect is that now, if you look at the first expression over there, T equal to J into alpha. So now that means that because the moment of inertia is small, if we have a certain amount of torque, it's going to produce a large acceleration. So basically, in order to produce a big enough acceleration, not much torque would be required. So that would imply that a portion of the large portion of the torque can be utilized to run the load. So basically, a small portion of the torque would be utilized in your in rotating the motor, whereas the rest of it would be utilized to run the load, that is change the position of the load. So that is why basically, that is the way, rather, the torque, the moment of inertia, the radius and the length of the motor are related, and that is because we wish to have small moment of inertia while not reducing the torque too much. We opt for a small radius, and thus we end up having a motor of a cylindrical shape which looks somewhat like this. So the next thing that we are going to proceed to is that we are going to go into the modes in which the servo motor is usually operated. So there are two specific modes in which the servo motor may be operated. One is the field controlled mode and the other is the armature controlled mode. The first point over there I had already stated in the last class. I'm not restating. Right now what we would be interested in is how these servo motors are modeled and then how they are used in a practical application. So we are first of all going to obtain the model for both these modes in which the servo motor may be operated, namely the field controlled mode and the armature controlled mode. Now, the control signal can be applied to either the field winding terminals, in which case the servo motor is going to be called a field controlled servo motor. On the other hand, if the control signal is applied to the armature side, then the servo motor is called an armature controlled servo motor. Now, when the servo motor is operated in the field controlled mode, what happens is that what we opt for is that the armature current is kept constant. On the other hand, when the servo motor operates in the armature controlled mode, the field current is kept constant. So people keep on entering. Okay. So right now we are going to go to the field control DC servo motor. So over here you find a hand-drawn circuit diagram, which actually, shows you the operation of a field control DC servo motor, and we are going to go into the details of how the model is derived. So right now over here in this diagram, you find that this is the field side, and the control signal actually comes to the field side. So it is the field control DC servo motor. So because of that, the armature current is kept constant. I hope you can see the pointer. A pointer meaning my cursor moving. So we actually apply a constant armature current. So this side has, a constant armature current flowing, and the control signal is applied to the field side, that is this side. So now over here, this arrow actually is indicative of the fact that you find the word servo amplifier written over there. I've actually pasted over here a small diagram which we've already seen in details, not too much details, but we have seen in the bigger form rather elsewhere when we were doing the potentiometers. This is the diagram that I'm referring to. You find that, say, if this is the servo motor that I'm speaking of, you find that the supply actually usually comes from an amplifier, which is known as a servo amplifier because it is used in a servo application. So the arrow in this diagram is indicative of the fact that this side is connected to the servo amplifier, nothing apart from that, right? So now the servo amplifier is giving you the control signal to the servo motor. So because it is a field controlled DC servo motor, VF, that is the field voltage, is what is applied across the field terminals. And here you find that RF and LF are respectively the resistance and inductance of the field circuit. So on the other hand, on this side, we have a constant armature current flowing. And as far as the armature circuit is concerned, we find the notations RA and LA indicating the armature resistance and inductance respectively. IA is the armature current flowing through it. In fact, in the field side, we had IF flowing. I didn't mention that. And then, of course, you have the motor over here. So this is indicating the shaft of the motor. So the load will be connected to the motor shaft. So as far as the load is concerned, the load will have its own moment of inertia and is viscous friction coefficient given by Jm and Fm. You can see the units written over there within this block. And Tm is the torque developed in the motor. The unit is Newton meters. Theta m is the angular displacement of the motor shaft, that is. And also, if it is connected to the load, that is going to also be the same as the load torque. If there is no gearing arrangement, if there is a gearing arrangement, appropriate your conversion has to be done. I'll repeat what I said. This shaft is connected to the load either through a gearing arrangement or directly. So if there is a gearing arrangement, theta m would have to be converted to the theta L with appropriate conversion factor. Otherwise, if it is directly coupled without any gearing arrangement, theta m and theta L are the same thing, that is the load angular displacement will be equal to the angular displacement of the motor shaft. And also you find over here VB denoting the back EMF produced in the motor. So now we are going to go into the derivation of the model of this component, that is a DC servo motor. So for that now, first of all, we start off with certain assumptions, one of which is that a constant armature current is fed to the armature that we've already stated. So this IA is assumed to be constant. It is kept constant. Also, we assume that the air gap flux phi is proportional to IF. So we actually, ignore any distortion effects, etc. And we sort of assume that phi is going to be proportional to the field current, that is the current flowing in the field circuit, this one. So that gives us this, that is phi is equal to kf into if, where kf is a constant, of course, with proper units. So if phi is a flux and if is the armature, the field current, what would be the unit of kf? What would be the unit of kf if phi is the flux and if is the current in the field?
Weber per ampere.
Yes. So it's going to be flux per current, Weber per ampere. Okay. So when we go through this, derivation of the model of this DC servo motor, please keep on noting the proper units for the constants, because at each step we introduce certain constants and units have to be taken care of. So now, the developed torque Tm will be proportional to both phi as well as Ia. So we can say that Tm is equal to the product of phi into Ia into some other constant, which is denoted as Km dashed over here. So Tm is equal to Km dashed phi into Ia. And now, you can see phi is replaced by Kf If. So we have Tm is equal to Km prime Kf If into Ia. That can be rewritten as now that being equal to Km into Kf into If, because since we are operating the servo motor in the field controlled mode, recollect that the armature current is being kept constant. So the Ia over here is constant. So we take the Km prime into Ia as another constant and denoted by Km. So basically Tm boils down to Km into Kf into If. So again over here you would have to keep on noting the units, because based on the conversion, the quantity from which it is being converted into another quantity, depending on that the units of the constants are going to be going to be changing and have to be assumed. So now, if we take the Laplace transform of this final expression, that is Tm is equal to Km Kf If. So Tms is equal to Km Kf into Ifs. So this is actually the transformed equation of the developed torque, and we find that it is equal to some constants into the field current If. So in short, that boils down to the fact that the torque developed over here in the field controlled DC servo motor will be actually proportional to the excitation current flowing in the field side. Next, we have actually when I usually project this in the class, the equations are not exposed at first, and then after you do the equations yourself, I expose them. But over here, since projecting is a problem in the sense that when I project, you are not able to see the projection. So that is why you have to I mean, bear with this slide. Bear with this slide meaning too many things written over here, but we will look at one of, I mean, each of them separately. So first of all, the equation of the field circuit is what we are going to take. So if you look at this side over here, you would have to write down the equation of the field side. So we find that the excitation voltage across the field is equal to Vf, and If is the current flowing in the field circuit, Rf is the resistance, and Lf is the inductance of the field circuit. So the normal equation can be written as Vf is equal to Rfif plus Lf dIf dt. So that actually is written over here. So Vf is equal to If Rf plus Lf dIf dt. That is the equation of the field circuit only. So when you transform that, let us take the Laplace transform of that equation, it looks like this. That is Vfs is equal to Rf plus SLF into Ifs, right? Now after that, what we do is we take the motor torque, that is the torque that is developed at the shaft, and write down the mechanical equation, right? So previously, if you recollect, we had actually got an expression for the motor torque in terms of the excitation, that is the field current If. Now what we are saying is that if we have, I mean, the torque developed as Tm, we will also be able to write down an equation for the mechanical, side of it. So that is going to be written now, and that would be Tm is equal to moment of inertia of the motor into double derivative of the motor position plus Fm, that is the viscous friction coefficient, into derivative of theta m. So that actually brings us to this, that is when we take the Laplace transform over here, Tms is equal to Jm into s square plus Fms theta ms. So this is the mechanical equation. So you find that a relation between the torque developed and the angular position of the shaft or the motor, that is what we have got over here. So now, as far as the DC servo motor is concerned, can you tell me what the input and output quantities are? I will actually project the bigger diagram, the same diagram of course, but the bigger diagram. So over here now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get a model for this DC servo motor. So when I say a model, I actually refer to a transfer function model. So transfer function model means that I would be getting the model in terms of the output to input, right? So what has to be done if we want to opt for a transfer function model is that we have to identify which quantity is my output for this system, which quantity is my input. So what quantity is in, I mean, which variable is the output for this system? Can you tell me?
Torque.
Theta m,
Theta m.
angular position, not the torque. Of course, the torque will be there, but we are interested, since it is a servo application, we are interested in positioning some load which is going to be connected to the shaft of the motor. So over here, theta m is the output quantity. And what is the input quantity that we are applying, input variable over here?
Vf. Vf. Field quantity.
Vf, right? Field voltage, or you can take it as field current. Field voltage is basically the quantity which is the input over here, because recollect that we have kept the armature current constant over here, so that's not going to vary. So from the equations that we have already got, we have to get rid of intermediate variables and get an expression in terms of theta m and Vf, that is theta ms by Vfs is what we would be trying to get. So that is what has been done over here. So actually, I mean, if you work that out, okay, first of all, we equate the mechanical torque and the torque when connected to the field current. So this Tm is equal to Jm s square plus Fm s theta ms, this side. is equal to Km Kf IFS that we had already developed on the previous slide, right? So we can say that this is what we have got, that is JMS square plus FMS theta whole into theta ms is equal to Km Kf IFS, right? So now again, since we are interested in VFS and not IFS, so we try to write IF in terms of VF. So for that we take this equation. So IF would be replaced by VF by RF plus SLF, and that is what has been done over here. So here now we have got an expression connecting theta m on one side and VF on the other. So we try to write that in transfer function form, which is, I mean, pretty sort of trivial, you can see. So theta ms by VFS, that is the output displacement to the input voltage to the field, is given by KMKF into KMKF, sorry, VF has gone to the other side. So divided by RF plus SLF, and then you have the JMS square plus FMS. So S has been taken common and you have JMS plus FM. So this is what we have got as the transfer function of the field control DC servo motor. So now what has been done is that it has been written in the next step. It has been written in the time constant form, where tau m represents the time constant of the motor given by Jm by Fm, and tau f represents the time constant of the field given by Lf by Rf. So for that you have to take out these Fm and Rf outside, and then you get the time constant form. So now over here you see Km, Kf, Rf, Fm, all these are constants. So it is going to just boil down to one constant divided by S into 1 plus S tau m into 1 plus S tau f. So that actually, I mean, if you think of it in that way, it has become pretty simple. So we can draw a block diagram in the simplistic form. In the block diagram we have shown the theta ms as the output variable and VFS as the input variable as far as the field control DC servo motor is concerned, and then the function within this block. So we have Km Kf by Rf Fm S into 1 plus S tau m 1 plus S tau f as the transfer function, and in fact as the model of the entire field control DC servo motor. So now, I mean, we are deriving these because if now a DC servo motor is used elsewhere, you can directly apply this particular model to replace the field control DC servo motor. So over there you need not derive it again, etc. So it will actually become a third order transfer function where you have a constant divided by S into two time constants over here. So 1 plus S tau m into 1 plus S tau f. So that would be the transfer function which you would be or could be using in place of a field control DC servo motor wherever you encounter it. Next we come to the DC servo motor when operated in the armature controlled mode. So over here again we find this arrow indicating the same thing as in the previous case, that is, this arrow indicates that this side, that is the input side, actually goes to a servo amplifier, or rather the servo amplifier comes immediately before the servo motor, overall servo motor. So now over here, since the DC servo motor is being operated in the armature controlled mode, the input signal is being applied at the armature side. So VA is the input signal over here, and here you find in the armature side the RA is representing the armature resistance, and LA is representing the armature inductance, IA being the armature current. We also have the armature drawn over here, and the back EMF across the armature is denoted by V suffix B. The shaft is shown over here, so the angular position is denoted by theta suffix m, and Tm Jm and Fm respectively being the torque developed by the motor, the moment of inertia, and the viscous friction coefficient of the motor, right? Now, since we are operating this servo motor in the armature controlled mode, we had already stated that the field current is going to be constant. So over here we have IF being the constant field current flowing through the field circuit. So over here again, before going to the modeling, we would be trying to see what assumptions are being made, and then we would go to the modeling directly. So again, I mean, when we do the modeling, we would write down the individual equations and then take the Laplace transform and then try to identify the output quantity and input quantity and hence derive the transfer function model. So as a starting point, the assumptions that we have made over here. So first of all, a constant constant field current IF is fed to the field. So that is assumption number one. Also, the air gap flux is again, assumed to be directly proportional to IF, irrespective of any distortion effects and all that. So phi is equal to some constant into IF. Now, of course, in this case, IF is also a constant, so this whole thing will become a constant. But nevertheless, the developed torque Tm is going to be proportional to both phi and the armature current Ia. So if we write that Tm is equal to some constant into phi into Ia, that constant is denoted by Km prime. So Tm is equal to Km prime into phi into Ia. Now replacing phi by Kf If, we have Tm is equal to Km prime Kf If Ia. So now over here, we find that since the armature current is constant, we can write that as being equal to some constant into Ia, because if you look at that, you would find that this whole portion Km prime Kf If are all constants. If is a constant we have stated, the others were already constants. So basically we denote Ki as being equal to Km prime into Kf into If. This whole thing is denoted by Ki. So Tm is equal to Ki into Ia. So this is finally the expression for the torque developed versus the armature current. So if we take the Laplace transform, we are going to get Tms is equal to Ki into Ias. Of course, Ki will have the proper units. So you have the torque on this side and the current on that side. So it's going to be Newton meters per your current, that is amperes or whatever unit you have over there. So that will be the unit of Ki. Now this hence is the equation for the torque developed in terms of the armature current. Now, since we are operating this servo motor in the armature controlled mode, the armature side is being excited. So now, if we were to write down the equation for the armature side, we would also have to take into account the back EMF which is produced. The previous time, that is when the servo motor operated in the field controlled mode, we had the armature side, we did not deal with the armature side, we did not have to deal with the armature side. So though the back EMF was produced over there, we did not have it in the equations anywhere. But over here now, since the armature side is of interest, and the equations will have to be derived in terms of the armature side, because the armature voltage is the input that is being applied. So because of that, we would have to rather take into consideration the back EMF also. So if you recollect from your knowledge of machines, the back EMF will be proportional to the speed, angular speed of the shaft of the motor. So that actually means that Vb is equal to some constant into derivative of the angular position. So that brings us to this expression, that is Vb is equal to Kb into derivative of theta m, that is d theta m dt. So now what we are going to do is we would be deriving the component equations which would be finally used to find the transfer function of this motor. Now, I mean, when we speak of transfer function now over here, the input quantity, as I have already mentioned, and as you can obviously see, is VA, that is the armature voltage which is being applied. The output, of course, again being the your motor shaft angular position, meaning theta m. So we would have to bring the final expression in terms of VA and theta m, and I mean get rid of intermediate variables. So as a starting point, what we do is we write down the electrical equation of this armature side. So what is that going to be? We have VA is equal to IARA plus your LA into DIA dt plus the VB that we have, that is the back EMF. So that is the equation that we start off with, this one. So now if we take the Laplace transform, VAS is equal to RA plus SLA IAS plus VBS. Now if you recollect, VBS is again, as we stated, is equal to KB into theta m dot. So that brings us to replacing VB in the next step, and you find that that has been replaced by KB into S theta m S. So now we have VAS is equal to RA plus SLA into IA plus KBS theta m S. So from there now, if I mean we take IA on one side, IA is equal to VA minus KB is theta m S. So this coming to that side, and the whole thing divided by RA plus SLA. So IA is equal to VA minus KB S theta ms by RA SLA, RA plus SLA. So fine, we have now got an expression where IA, VA and theta m are all present. Now also if you recollect, Tm is equal to Ki into Ia that we had got initially. So TMS is equal to Ki into Ia. Brings us to the fact that we replace Ia over here in this expression, and we get TMS is equal to Ki into Ia being replaced by this. So this is what we have finally got. So now again, if you recollect the torque, recollect means that we have not written it for this, we had written it for the field control servo motor, but the torque developed, the mechanical torque developed will be again equal to Jm into double derivative of theta m plus Fm into single derivative of theta m, which actually brings us to this Laplace transformed equation, that is TMS is equal to Jms plus Fm whole into S theta m S. So now if we equate the two torques and then try to collect terms, we have Jm plus Fm whole into S theta ms is equal to this on the right hand side. So this one was there, and then we take terms containing theta m on I mean one side and VA on the other side, etc. This is again brought to the left hand side, and then when you arrange it and I mean try to write it in terms of only theta m and VA, you will land up with this expression, that is theta ms by VAS is equal to Ki by S into JMS plus FM whole into RA plus SLA plus KB KI S. So I mean we had KB KI S being multiplied by theta m, and after collecting etc. I mean taking this on the left hand side and then collecting terms containing theta m and then dividing by on the this side, right side, we get this as the transfer function of the armature control DC servo motor. So we can also rewrite that in the time constant form as we had done in the case of the field control DC servo motor. So if we take out Fm and RA from here, we are able to write it in terms of tau m and tau a, where tau m is given by Jm by Fm, which is the mechanical time constant of the motor, and tau a is the is La by Ra, and is given by armature, is called the armature time constant, right? So basically the transfer function is now written in the time constant form. So over here now you find that there is an additional term which has come in, that is plus Kb Kis. So this has come in case of the armature controlled DC servo motor, and is produced because of the back EMF, which has to be taken into consideration when we are dealing with the armature side equations. So now if we were to write rather draw the block diagram of that, it has to be taken care of. So I mean, from the previous from this transfer function that we have got, what we try to do is we try to write it in a standard form, that is we divide the numerator and the denominator by a quantity, which is basically this term over here. So by doing that, what we get is this, that is Ki divided by this, that is RAFMS whole into 1 plus S tau m, 1 plus S tau a, and in the denominator we have 1 plus S Kb into Ki was there already, divided by again this. So basically what we have succeeded in doing is that we can now rewrite that in this form, that is Gs by 1 plus Gs Hs. So what we have done is that because we found that in this case the back EMF comes as an additional term in this overall transfer function, this term is still present as an additional term. So we cannot actually, I mean, develop the block diagram in terms of, we can of course write it as a single block, but that is going to be a combination of a block that is in the forward path plus some quantity which is being fed back. So we try to rewrite this in that standard form, that is in the form where we would be able to express this overall transfer function in terms of a forward path transfer function plus a feedback path transfer function. Because of this additional term we have to do this. So because of that, this quantity is the quantity by which we divided the numerator and denominator, and the final result we saw over there. So now if we look at this, and if we denote the numerator as Gs, so Ki by RAFM is whole into 1 plus S tau m into 1 plus S tau a. This whole thing is denoted as Gs. So if that is the case now, I mean, this is the Gs. So we are left with SKB as the feedback, that is Hs becomes equal to SKB by rearranging and writing in the standard form. So the forward path transfer function would be given by this, and the feedback path transfer function would be given by SKP. So we try to draw the block diagram. We could have put it in a single block over here in the forward path, which had the transfer function, that is this Gs over here, and then the feedback path being taken with the feedback path transfer function as SKP. So now that being the case, we have over here tried to break up the forward path transfer function into the electrical part and the mechanical part respectively. So we find that over here we have separated the overall block of the forward path transfer function into two parts, one being the electrical part consisting of 1 by Ra into 1 plus S tau a. So all these are quantities related to the armature side, that is the electrical aspect of it, and the other block consists of the rest of the terms which are actually related to the mechanical side of it, namely Ki by Fms into 1 plus S tau m, where tau m is the mechanical time constant of the motor. We already saw that on a previous slide. So this in effect is the overall block diagram representation where you can see theta m is the output. And of course, these are, I mean, the within bracket S has not been, I mean, repeated everywhere. It's implied. So theta m being the output and VA being the input, right? So now can we see the feedback signal
VB
back EMF? How?
V is equal to KB d theta dt. So in Laplace domain, it will be KB is theta
Yes.
theta m.
Yes, it is the back EMF, fine. But over here, yes, it is the back EMF, definitely. So that actually is representing the feedback signal that we have over here. And it is as if, I mean, if I would have broken this up into two parts, namely the KB would be separately shown and you had the S block over here, then we would have actually taken theta m into S, which would be denoting what? The speed of the motor, which is going to be converted into the back EMF by going to the through the KB block. What I stated is that something which is not drawn, but you can imagine that. That is, this SKB block has been again broken up into two blocks, one being the S, which I put over here, and the other being the KB, which is over here. So if that is the case now, theta m passing through S means that theta m dot, that is the speed, is being fed back. So speed being fed back via the KB block converts it into the back EMF. And obviously in the back EMF, I mean, rather, if I have to if I have to compare two quantities, naturally, since the armature voltage is the input quantity, naturally a voltage would have to come on this side, and that is basically the back EMF which is being fed back. So of course, in this case, I mean, the whole question of feeding back, nobody is feeding it back externally. It is being the back EMF is there in the motor itself. So we have just tried to express it separately and show it as a block representation. So that is it. So basically the back EMF is being fed back as far as the control aspect is concerned. So it resembles the tachometer feedback. So tachometer feedback, if you have already worked in your machine lab, you would be knowing what does a tachometer do?
Yes, ma'am.
Measure the
It's the instrument that measures the speed.
of a motor.
Yes, it measures the speed. So coming back to what I was stating, that is because of that S present over here, it is as if the speed is being fed back. It is the speed being fed back rather. So it acts as, I mean, as if it is a tachometer feedback. And then of course, the conversion to the back EMF
when
is done before being fed. Yes.
When you feeding
Yes.
back the tachometer reading, it's the input like a reading. So how can we just change it to a EMF like with a black box? I mean, that's only a reading.
Sorry,
No,
I didn't get your question. Arindam Bolo. Just repeat your
when
question.
you
I did
feeding
not
back
get
the-
it.
When you feeding back the tachometer reading, it's a only reading.
Oh, mind
not
you, okay,
like
okay, I
a-
get your question now. I get your question. We are not feeding it back. Okay. We are not feeding back anything over here. We are just representing what is being done. We are not putting in I mean, it resembles the tachometer feedback. Okay, don't get me wrong. It is not that we are feeding back the speed. No. Back EMF is being produced in the motor itself. It is like a tachometer feedback, is what I stated. Okay. We are not putting in any I mean, we are not taking a tachometer and then feeding back the speed as you have thought. Rather, this is I mean, representing what is happening internally within the armature control DC servo motor. Nobody is feeding it back separately. Whenever we are using, or rather, yes, whenever we are DC servo motor in the armature controlled mode, what we are, inherently doing is that we saw that the back EMF is being produced, and the back EMF is by itself going to act like a tachometer feedback. Nobody is feeding back anything separately. Okay. Is your question answered?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So now we are just going to compare between the armature control versus the field control DC servo motor, because we have actually got the models of both of those separately. The transfer function model is what we have got. So the induction in the armature circuit can usually be neglected. So if you look at the say this form of the transfer function, and if the armature inductance can be neglected, what happens to this transfer function? What happens to the order of this transfer function? It actually becomes lesser in order, isn't it? Because if armature inductance is negligible, this quantity is as good as not being there. So we will be actually left with a second order transfer function over here if the armature inductance is negligible. So the denominator of the transfer function in the armature control operation reduces to a second order equation. On the other hand, since the field inductance is not negligible, the field controlled equation or transfer function rather retains the third order form. We cannot do anything about it, in the sense that no simplification can be done over there. So that is a difference between the armature controlled operation and the field control operation. So field control operation retains the third order form, whereas armature controlled operation ultimately boils down to a second order. You can sort of approximate the model by a second order equivalent model, because since it is negligible, armature inductance is negligible, it is as if the order of the transfer function is actually reduced. Also, the second point over here, in armature controlled operation, an equivalent damping due to the back EMF effect in addition to the damping due to RA and FM is present. So when I speak of that, let me go back to that transfer function again. So now if you look at this transfer function over here, or for that matter the next one, this one, so we find that this is if we say that there is an additional damping which is introduced due to the back EMF. So you find that first of all, if you recollect, you already know that the damping term is the first order term, because if you recollect that the second order standard transfer function is, say for example, omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square, right? So the damping term, that is 2 zeta and all that, so zeta is the damping ratio, and that is multiplied, that factor or the coefficient is multiplied with the first order term, that is S. So over here now, if we were to rewrite this in the standard second order form, we would be having, along with the first order term, we would be having Fm plus Kb Ki whole into S. So the damping term is actually, instead of being a simple Fm, is now going to be Fm by Jm, rather, if you divide the whole thing by Jm. But without being that, due to the Fm only, and the Fm divided by Jm rather, you would have an additional term coming out of Kb Ki by the Jm. So basically, there is an additional damping coming in because of the back EMF effect, right? So again, over here, I would mention that nobody is putting in extra damping, but the armature controlled operation is such that it is as if there is additional damping coming due to the back EMF effect. On the other hand, if you recollect in the field controlled model that we had, this, I mean, first of all, it cannot be reduced separately to it's a third order model by itself. And we find that since there is no back EMF, everything has to come from either the motor time constant or the field time constant, or the quantities which are dictating those, meaning the Jm, Fm, and Rf, Lf, etc. So there is no question of additional damping coming in the field controlled operation. So coming back to the second point over here, in the armature control operation, an equivalent damping or electric friction due to the back EMF effect in addition to the
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Yes, ma'am. Rohit,